Heading overseas to Jerusalem now, where Israeli police overnight stormed a disputed site that is revered by Muslims and Jews and fought with Palestinians. That led to other attacks in the region.
Israel is a land where the sands of time whisper tales of an ancient history intertwined with an unyielding faith. As you watch this video, the land has once again become entangled in another deadly war. And yet Judaism, Christianity, and Islam each venerate this sacred ground. But what has just happened in Israel, other than the war, has shocked religious people throughout the nation and worldwide. This is big, so big that the region as we know it today may as well be reshaped to something else. So, what's the deal with Israel and ancient prophecies? Join us as we explore the topic with hard evidence. Before we dive into some of the more shocking unveiled secrets of the land, let's start with Israel's history for some context. Israel, situated at the crossroads of continents, stands as a land bridge connecting Africa, Asia, and Europe. It is bordered by Lebanon to the north, Syria to the northeast, Jordan to the east, Egypt to the southwest, and the Mediterranean Sea to the west. This strategic location has historically made Israel a significant hub for trade, culture, and civilization. The historical roots of Israel dig deep into the annals of antiquity, presenting a tale of enduring civilizations, empires rising and falling, and the resilience of a people deeply connected to their land. Evidence of human settlement in the region dates as far back as the Paleolithic era. The land of Israel was a melting pot of ancient cultures, with traces of various civilizations, including the Canaanites, Philistines, Israelites, Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, and Romans. Each left an indelible mark on the land, contributing to its rich and diverse historical tapestry. Today, the land stands at a time in history where it can change everything about the world's future. It may even bring an end to our times according to a prophecy. But more on that later. The foundations of Israel can be traced back to the settlement of the 12 tribes of Israel in Canaan in ancient times. The 12 tribes, descendants of the patriarch Jacob, established their presence in Canaan, guided by a shared faith and lineage. The period marked the beginning of a distinct identity for the Israelites, united by their common ancestry and beliefs. This tribal society witnessed a significant transformation with the establishment of a united monarchy under the leadership of King Saul, followed by the illustrious reigns of King David and King Solomon. Saul, as the first king, ushered in a centralized form of governance, uniting the tribes into a single kingdom. King David, renowned for his military prowess and wisdom, expanded the borders of the kingdom, solidifying its presence and influence in the region. His reign brought stability and prosperity, and Jerusalem, a city he conquered, was declared the capital. King Solomon, son of David, further elevated the kingdom's status. Renowned for his wisdom and splendor, he constructed the first temple in Jerusalem, a symbol of faith and a central place of worship. The temple became a cultural and religious center, attracting people from far and wide. However, tragedy struck when the Babylonians, under King Nebuchadnezzar, invaded Jerusalem in 586 BCE, laid waste to the city, and demolished the temple. This marked a period of exile for many Israelites, an era of displacement and struggle. The Second Temple was built following the return of the Jews from exile, as decreed by Cyrus the Great of Persia. However, this Second Temple also faced a similar fate. In 70 CE, during the Jewish-Roman War, the Romans, under Emperor Titus, razed the Second Temple to the ground. Both these events had a profound and lasting impact on the identity and resilience of the Jewish people, shaping their religious practices, culture, and historical consciousness. The temples, although physically lost, remained eternal in the hearts and faith of the Jewish community, leaving an indelible mark on the foundations of Israel. Jerusalem's importance is rooted both in the history and theology of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Jerusalem, often referred to as the epicenter of faith, holds profound importance for three of the world's major religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Each religion reveres Jerusalem for its unique religious narratives and the spiritual connection to foundational figures and events. In Judaism, Jerusalem is regarded as the spiritual and historical heartland of the Jewish people. For the Jews, Jerusalem is where God chose to reside, and it is mentioned over 600 times in the Hebrew Bible. Christianity likewise holds Jerusalem as a holy city, primarily due to its association with Jesus Christ. It is where Jesus was crucified, buried, and later resurrected. These are the three most pivotal events in Christian doctrine. The Muslims call the city Al-Quds, which literally translates to holy city. Jerusalem, for the Muslims, is the third holiest city after Mecca and Medina. The city is associated with the Prophet Muhammad's night journey, during which he ascended to heaven. Additionally, several prophets revered in Islamic tradition, including Abraham, David, Solomon, and Jesus, are associated with the region, further deepening its religious importance. It is this deep connection with spirituality in the Abrahamic faiths that has made the land an epicenter of many prophecies. But how close is the nation of Israel to actually fulfilling one of these chains of events? We'll discuss that shortly. Jerusalem is replete with religious landmarks and associations. For Judaism, the Western Wall, believed to be the remnant of the ancient temple's retaining wall, is a focal point for prayers and religious gatherings. The Temple Mount, where the first and second temples stood, is profoundly significant and is believed to be the site of the future third temple. In Christianity, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre stands at the heart of Jerusalem. It is revered as the site of Jesus Christ's crucifixion, burial, and resurrection. The Mount of Olives, associated with Jesus' ascension to heaven, and the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus prayed before his arrest, are also held in high esteem. In Islam, the Al-Aqsa Mosque within the Old City of Jerusalem is a central religious site. The Dome of the Rock, with its iconic golden dome, is a symbol of immense religious and architectural significance, believed to be the site from which the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven. Despite its sacredness, Jerusalem has witnessed long-standing religious and political tensions. It remains a deeply contested territory, a symbol of religious heritage, and a locus of modern realities. The city's ownership and control have been a subject of dispute between Israel and Palestine for many years. All of this is further complicated by the desire to rebuild the Third Temple. For the Jews, the desire to rebuild the Third Temple in Jerusalem is steeped in religious prophecy, historical connection, and the longing to resume ancient rituals. It symbolizes the fulfillment of prophecies, heralding a new spiritual era and the coming of the Messiah. It's seen as a reconnection to their historical and religious roots, a place to revive ancient worship practices and rituals outlined in the Torah. This aspiration reflects a deep-seated cultural and spiritual identity, affirming their connection to God and their heritage. However, rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem is a task fraught with complex social, political, and emotional dynamics. The region has a diverse population with deep-rooted beliefs and historical narratives. Rebuilding the temple can evoke a wide range of emotions and convictions. For the Palestinians and other communities, it poses a threat to their sovereignty and can escalate already existing tensions. Balancing these contrasting beliefs while preserving social harmony is a formidable challenge. But why is it so important for the Jews to rebuild this particular temple? Is it only for sentimental reasons, or is it tied to an ancient prophecy that relates the temple to something much bigger to come? This has continued to be debated vigorously in both religious and historical communities. For now, the political landscape surrounding the Temple Mount is also equally intricate. It is a territory claimed by both Israelis and Palestinians, making any development on it a highly sensitive and potentially contentious issue. Negotiating a peaceful and acceptable solution that accommodates the rights and sentiments of all parties is an arduous task, demanding diplomatic finesse and international collaboration. But the problems don't end there. The region surrounding the Temple Mount is a treasure trove of archaeological sites. Any construction on this historically and archaeologically rich land would raise concerns about the potential damage to invaluable artifacts and historical remains. Excavations and building activities could disturb and potentially destroy archaeological evidence that sheds light on ancient civilizations and their way of life. One could say that trying to rebuild the temple may ironically further distance the Jews from the history they so desperately wish to reconnect with. Additionally, the environment in and around Jerusalem is a critical concern. The region has its own unique ecosystem, and uncontrolled development for the purpose of rebuilding the temple could disrupt this delicate balance. Displacement of rare and endangered species, soil erosion, and disturbance to natural habitats are among the environmental issues that must be taken into account and addressed responsibly. Not to mention that rebuilding the temple challenges the religious beliefs and practices of other faiths in the region, particularly Muslims who have their own sacred structures on the Temple Mount. This further fuels the existing historical and religious disputes over the rightful ownership and usage of the land. Addressing these religious diversity concerns while respecting the rights and beliefs of all faiths is a delicate task. It necessitates fostering interfaith dialogue, building bridges of understanding, and ensuring that any developments consider and respect the religious heritage and sentiments of all communities involved. Despite the challenges, the Israelis have made preparations of their own, too. The Sanhedrin, a Jewish religious council re-established in 2004, has been at the forefront of the efforts to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. Their primary goal is to revive Jewish law and temple services, laying the groundwork for the eventual construction of the third temple. In this regard, one of their key initiatives involves cultivating farms and forests to recreate environmental conditions reminiscent of ancient Israel. This endeavor is aimed at replicating the natural setting and agricultural practices that were prevalent during the time of the original temples. The Sanhedrin aims to create an enabling environment conducive to the rituals and ceremonies that will take place in the rebuilt temple. The Sanhedrin is also working on cultivating farms and forests. Certain plants hold immense importance in Jewish rituals and ceremonies, making agriculture a critical component of temple activities. The Sanhedrin ensures that farms are carefully cultivated, adhering to strict regulations to recreate the agricultural conditions of ancient Israel. Forests are also cultivated as they are seen as a vital part of the ecological balance of the region. Recreating the natural habitat and biodiversity of ancient times is a priority, and the careful cultivation of farms and forests plays a role in achieving this objective. Preparations for the rebuilding of the temple also extend to training the Kohanim, who are members of the priestly class in Jerusalem. The Kohanim are descendants of Aaron, the brother of Moses, and hold a unique role within the Jewish community. They are responsible for performing rituals and ceremonies in the temple. In anticipation of the temple's reconstruction, the Sanhedrin has taken steps to train the Kohanim. This training involves instructing them in the use of the equipment associated with the old and new temples and altars, as well as educating them on burnt offerings and performing the rituals that will be central to temple services. Another crucial aspect of preparation involves the production of the red heifer. The ashes of the red heifer are essential for purification before entering the temple. Red heifers, however, have been long extinct. The Sanhedrin is working to engineer an unblemished heifer using red Angus as a base. This genetic engineering initiative is an innovative approach to ensure the availability of the red heifer, a critical requirement for temple rituals. They claim to have made a breakthrough in this regard, but the red heifers produced this way are now being kept in an undisclosed location. Here, they'll be housed in secrecy until they reach the ages of 2 and 3 years old. The heifer must be at an age where it is considered mature, but not too old to meet the religious requirements and undergo the necessary purification rituals as outlined in Jewish law and tradition. However, the challenges extend beyond religious aspects. We already discussed the political and religious challenges involved, but things go much deeper than this. Rebuilding the temple is not a purely domestic affair. It carries significant implications for international relations. Israel, as a nation, relies on international alliances and diplomatic relations to maintain its standing on the global stage. Any move perceived as provocative or disruptive, such as rebuilding the temple in a disputed area, has the potential to strain these international relations. Financing the construction of the temple is another significant concern. The cost involved in such a project would be substantial, and Israel might need financial support from various sources. Relying on external funding could make Israel beholden to those providing the financial assistance, potentially impacting its sovereignty and decision-making. Moreover, some nations might see such a project as an affront to peace efforts and a source of potential instability in an already volatile region. This could lead to diplomatic pressures and economic sanctions, creating additional challenges for Israel, which is desperate to normalize ties with its Arab neighbors. Israel must thus strike a balance between national aspirations, international relations, and fiscal responsibilities if it is to go ahead with the project. This will require careful planning, diplomatic finesse, and an understanding of the global political landscape. Let's say that Israel is successful in its efforts, then what? Of course, we can't predict the future with any degree of certainty, but concerning this matter, we have a wealth of texts and prophecies guiding us. Daniel's prophecy, as outlined in the Bible, holds profound significance in the context of rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem. According to this prophecy, Daniel received a vision from an angel that foretold the coming of a Messiah, the destruction of a city and its temple, and the subsequent rebuilding of the temple. This prophecy also provides a timeline and a sequence of events. It delineates the beginning of this timeline with the issuance of a decree to restore and rebuild Jerusalem. This decree marks the commencement of the countdown leading to the rebuilding of the temple. The prophecy further predicts the arrival of an anointed one, who, tragically, would be killed, and the temple would be destroyed once again. These events are seen as precursors to the eventual rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem, making Daniel's prophecy a cornerstone in the eschatological beliefs surrounding the Third Temple. Of course, now we know that most of these events happened exactly in this order. The temple was rebuilt following a decree from Cyrus the Great. Next, Jesus of Nazareth appeared in the Holy Land and was tragically murdered. And then this second temple too was destroyed. Now all that remains to be fulfilled is the final part. That's where things take a grim turn. Central to eschatological beliefs is the concept of the Antichrist, a figure prophesied to rise to power and play a significant role in the events preceding the end of days. According to interpretations of various religious texts, the Antichrist will be a charismatic and influential leader who will support world leaders politically and religiously. It is believed that the Antichrist's rise to power will signify the beginning of the end times. In the context of the rebuilding of the temple, the Antichrist is seen as a figure who would support the construction of the Third Temple, forming alliances and covenants with world leaders to facilitate this endeavor. This support is thought to be part of a larger plan to consolidate power and influence on a global scale. Consequently, the Antichrist's involvement in the construction of the temple is seen as a significant prophecy fulfillment. Next up, we'll witness the Armageddon. The concept of Armageddon, derived from the Book of Revelation in the Christian Bible, is envisioned as the final apocalyptic battle between the forces of good and evil, a climactic event that will usher in the reign of Jesus Christ, who will re-emerge miraculously. It represents the ultimate war that will lead to the establishment of a new world order under the rule of Christ. The events leading up to the Battle of Armageddon will be set in motion by the construction of the Third Temple. The involvement of the Antichrist and the rebuilding of the temple are considered precursors to this epic battle, where the forces of evil will confront the forces of good. The fulfillment of prophecies related to the temple's rebuilding is thus intricately tied to the anticipation of Armageddon and the subsequent establishment of a new divine order. And once that is done, the world as we know it will come to an end. At least that's what the Christian prophecies proclaim. Regardless of these prophesized consequences, Israel stands determined to reclaim their land. For the Jewish people, the land of the temple is not only a geographical location, but a fundamental aspect of their identity and faith. The aspiration to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem is a powerful reflection of their enduring connection to this sacred land and their unwavering commitment to preserving their cultural heritage and religious practices. The long history of exile and dispersion has not diminished this determination. Rather, it has fortified it. Despite the challenges, the Jewish people continue to persevere, seeking to re-establish the heart of their faith on the Temple Mount. Also, as believers reflect on the prophecies and signs associated with the rebuilding of the temple, they find reassurance in the alignment of these events with ancient predictions. The fulfillment of prophecies, such as those outlined in the book of Daniel, is seen as a testament to the divine plan and a confirmation of the unfolding destiny foretold in these sacred writings. For the people of faith, This reflection not only reaffirms their belief, but also bolsters their determination to work towards the fulfillment of these prophecies. It fuels their conviction that they are part of a larger divine narrative, and their actions are instrumental in realizing the predestined events that will ultimately lead to a new spiritual epoch. The journey towards rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem is layered with historical, religious, political, and spiritual complexities. It is a journey marked by profound determination, guided by prophecies, and driven by the deeply entrenched faith of the Jewish people. The significance of this endeavor, both in historical and prophetic terms, underscores the profound connection between faith, prophecy, and the human quest to reclaim what is held sacred. Thanks for watching. Don't miss this video you see on your screen right now. It's truly unbelievable.